Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition, and we're specifically going to talk about understanding one man's legacy and adopting behavior based on a more powerful, more correct understanding of legacy and Ghostbusters Afterlife. All right, let's dive into this. First of all, spoilers for Ghostbusters Afterlife in this content. All right, so I saw the movie Ghostbusters Afterlife, and it has a powerful lesson for everyone who studies Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition. Let's get into it. All right. So, Ghostbusters Afterlife is a brilliant, brilliant film. I really, really enjoyed it. It's a very special film. It's every Dungeon Master content because what it does is it shows, hey, do you got a new edition of something? This is how you handle it. This is how you marry the old and the new together. And it is just shockingly brilliant. I really, really loved it, and it was really spectacular, material, and just very much really enjoyed it as content. All right, so there was something in Ghostbusters Afterlife that I don't think a lot of people caught, but I caught it, and I'm going to echo it here because it's really important. Okay, so what's the lesson in Ghostbusters Afterlife that we need to make sure we catch? Right, here we go. Okay. Excuse me. All right, so what is the lesson? So, in Ghostbusters Afterlife, Egon Spengler's daughter moves Egon Spengler's granddaughter and grandson to Somerville, Oklahoma, a little tiny town, okay? And she does it when they inherit a farm that Egon Spengler had spent the last, 15 years of his life farming, air quotes, okay? And basically, so Egon Spengler, they called him, the community he was in, they called him the dirt farmer, okay? And the reason why was they didn't understand his behavior. They didn't know what he was doing, and they disagreed with his behavior. They're like, somebody in the movie actually says it, they're like, who farms a piece of ground for 15 years and never gets a single piece of fruit off of it, and never gets a single piece of produce off of it, right? What is that, right? They didn't understand Egon Spengler's behavior, right? Now, why did Egon Spengler spend 15 years farming dirt, right? Well, the reason why was the farm in Somerville, Oklahoma that Egon Spengler spent the last 15 years of his life building was specifically a ghost trap, right? So the way Ghostbusters would trap things is they would use their proton packs, they would kick the stream out, they would capture the ghost in the stream, and then they would trigger the trap to capture the ghost, right? Well, the traps were like these little rickety boxes that they would, send out on it with an electrical line behind them. They were very hard to get under the ghosts. And so what Egon Spengler really did was he spent 15 years making a farm into the trap, okay? It's really quite fascinating, actually. Really, really fascinating way to consider and process the capturing of ghosts, right? And very different, fundamentally different, an innovative way, a new way to capture ghosts. So it's much more effective than the old way, okay? And I want you to catch this very clearly, okay? The reason Egon Spengler did this was because he understood the legacy of Ivo Shandor. Now, who's Ivo Shandor? Well, Ivo Shandor was the gentleman who was the cult leader of the Gozer cult in New York in the 1980s, in Ghostbusters 1, right? So the skyscraper that was the place where Gozer came down, where Zool came down to into Earth, basically that entire skyscraper was built as a supernatural conductor to draw a god, right? Now, Ivo Shandor's Zool, everybody thought Ivo Shandor was dead, and that his legacy was that failed attempt to bring Zool back in New York. But Ivo Shandor's real legacy was not New York. It was Somerville, Oklahoma, where in a mountain he had built an even more powerful, more effective draw unit draw tool to bring Gozer and Zool back. All right. Now, Egon Spengler went to all the Ghostbusters, and he went to the media, and he went to everybody and said, listen, Ivo Shandor is not dead. His legacy is not New York. It's actually Somerville, a mountain in Somerville, Oklahoma. And we need to adjust our behavior. We need to change the way we Ghostbust so that we can defeat Ivo Shandor's actual legacy. Right? So you need to. Igor Spengler was saying, Egon Spengler was saying, you need to understand the legacy of one man, and understanding the true legacy of one man will adjust your behavior. So Egon Spengler said this to his family. He said it to his ghostbusting partners. He said it to his friends. He said it to everybody he could. He said it to his local community. No one believed him. No one believed him. They said, you're dumb. You're crazy. Right? They called him a dirt farmer. They said he was crazy, and they said he was dumb. Right? But Egon Spengler had a vantage. He looked and he studied one man's life, and he saw the true legacy of what that man's life was. Right? And then he said, based on understanding the true legacy of one man, I will adjust my behavior, and I will do things in ways that nobody else does them. Okay? I will be different, and I will stand literally alone in a field, doing what needs to be done, and saying the truth when everyone says I'm dumb and everyone says I'm crazy. Right? You catch that? Right? But the reality was, at the end of Ghostbusters Afterlife, literally the community apologizes to Egon Spengler, his family apologizes to Egon Spengler, the Ghostbusters apologize to Egon Spengler, because he was the only one who had the vantage to see the truth. And while everybody else thought he was dumb and everybody else thought he was crazy, in this story, it shows that Egon Spengler was not dumb or crazy. He was just the only one who could see the truth, and he had the courage to stand and do what needed to be done while no one else could see what he was saying, and no one else had the courage to change their behavior. So, if you have a player in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition who does things in a way that nobody else does it, right, and purports to play a different way, maybe they're not dumb, maybe they're not crazy, maybe they're the only person who sees the truth, and you're the sheep. You're the one who doesn't see the reality of it. Just keep that in mind. Sometimes, especially when there are 99 people standing next to you, and you're telling one person that they're dumb or they're crazy, maybe you're the one who's just ignorant. Well, that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.